On our 8th wedding anniversary, I prepared a table full of dishes waiting for my wife Chinya to come home. Late at night, I received her text message, "Working overtime, don't wait for me." At the same time, social media pushed a news. Chin Technology CEO, Chinya bought a 5 billion private jet for CTO Wang Hao. The attached photo showed them embracing in celebration. The next day, Chinya emailed me. The building design project I had been preparing for 3 years and was about to start would be handed over to Wang Hao. A week later, I went home to pack my things, but found Chinya and Wang Hao at home. Wang Hao pretentiously knelt on the ground. "Brother Lin, I'm sorry. It's because of my lack of experience that you gave me the project to boost my credentials." Chinya helped him up sympathetically, then turned and slapped me. "You're too full of yourself. You should learn from Wang Hao's modesty." I took out the divorce application. "Tomorrow at 10 a.m., meet at the law firm." Seeing the divorce papers in my hand, Chinya's face instantly turned ashen. She lunged forward, trying to snatch them. "Are you crazy? What is this?" I dodged sideways, holding the document high. She stumbled, then grabbed a trophy from the coffee table in a rage and hurled it at me. I couldn't dodge in time. The sharp metal edge grazed my temple, and warm blood trickled down my cheek. Chinya ignored this completely, turning instead to tenderly help Wang Hao, who was feigning a back injury nearby. "Are you all right? Here, sit down." She gently settled him on the sofa. Wang Hao put on an act of wincing. "With designer Lin here, we shouldn't really." His words were polite, but his eyes were full of challenge, like a victorious general surveying his defeated opponent. Chinya glanced at me contemptuously. "What's wrong with it? He's just a petty man who never understands how to be considerate of others. Your back was injured while trying to save my design model after all." She began to carefully massage Wang Hao's lower back, her intimate gestures nauseating to watch. I stood to the side, feeling like an outsider in my own home. I suddenly realized that this family had long since existed in name only. As I turned to leave, Chinya suddenly shouted, "Move the memory foam mattress from the master bedroom to the guest room. Wang Hao's back injury needs proper rest." I stopped in my tracks, without turning back, my voice cold as ice. "Why bother? You might as well sleep in the master bedroom directly. Isn't that what you usually do anyway?" As soon as the words left my mouth, the fountain pen I used for drawing flew past my ear from the table. "Lin Yuan, shut your mouth." Chinya screamed. I strode away, hearing Chunya's gentle consolation to Wang Hao behind me. "Don't mind him. You stay here for the next few days. I'll take care of you personally. We'll go back to the hospital for a fall. Blow up tomorrow." As I closed the door, I felt only a sense of relief. At 3 a.m., I stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window in the study, the city lights flickering below. The whiskey in my hand was almost empty, but my thoughts were becoming increasingly clear. "You'll regret this," my mother said 8 years ago, holding my hand. "The Chin family just needs a respectable son-in-law. They're not truly accepting you." Our family ran a construction company. Although not as large as Chin Tech, we had our own reputation in the industry. I could have carved out my own future with my talents, instead of becoming an appendage to the Chin family. But I was convinced that Chunya was my whole world, willing to give up my dignity just for a chance to be with her. I heard soft footsteps behind me, but I didn't turn around. Chunya's reflection appeared in the glass window. She wore a silk robe, her hair was damp, and her face was flushed. Still awake, her voice carried a deliberate tone of concern. "I'm hungry, I want something to eat." I remained silent as she stepped closer, her fingers lightly tracing my back. "There's fresh seafood in the kitchen," she whispered in my ear. "How about some fried rice? Remember, no ginger." This was the unspoken game between us. She makes demands, I obediently comply, then she bestows a bit of affection on me, making me feel I still have value. I turn around and look her in the eyes. "Seafood fried rice without ginger is Wang Hao's preferred taste, not yours." Her expression freezes, then quickly returns to normal. "What are you overthinking now? Tomorrow at 10 a.m., Lawyer Su will be waiting for us at his office. I've already signed the divorce papers." A flash of surprise crosses Chunya's eyes, quickly turning to anger. "Are you crazy? You want a divorce over some small matter?" "Small matter?" I laugh coldly. "You call my 8 years of devotion a small matter? I've already taken the initiative to make amends. What more do you want?" Her voice starts to rise. I put down my glass and calmly say, "Ms. Chun, your schedule must be quite full. Can you make it on time tomorrow? Or does Director Wang's back injury require your personal care again?" Her face instantly turned ashen. "This is exactly why you're unbearable. Always fixating on trivial matters. If you put more effort into your work, your designs wouldn't be so lacking in innovation." With that, she turned and left, slamming the study door shut behind her. I poured myself another drink, shaking my head with a bitter smile. Over these 8 years, I've witnessed Chunya's endless doting on Wang Hao. She could cancel meetings with important clients at a single phone call from Wang Hao. She could drive for 2 hours in a stormy night just to deliver a bag of dog food for Wang Hao's pet. She could even ignore the anniversary dinner I had carefully prepared, simply because Wang Jihao said he was in a bad mood. In the company, everyone knew Wang Hao was Chun Ya's true love, while I was nothing more than a presentable prop, a tool to keep the Chun family free from gossip. I once naively believed that time could change everything, that it could make her see my worth and truly fall in love with me. Looking back now, it seems utterly ridiculous. These 8 years of humiliation and endurance should come to an end. Sunlight had already climbed onto the windowsill, illuminating the entire living room. I sat on the sofa, my fingers lightly tapping the table, waiting for Chunya to appear. At 10:10, 10 minutes past the time agreed with the lawyer, she still hadn't shown up. Just as I was about to send a message to inquire, the bedroom door silently slid open. Wang Hao, wearing the robe Chunya had given him, leisurely walked out, holding a steaming cup of coffee. "Morning, designer Lin." He leaned against the bar, his eyes filled with blatant provocation. "Been waiting long?" His waist movements were fluid and natural, showing no signs of injury whatsoever. "Where's Chunya?" I asked directly. Wang Hao took a sip of coffee, deliberately dragging out his words. "Yeah, she went to buy medicine for me. My back pain flared up last night. She's been taking care of me." He deliberately emphasized the words, taking care, the corner of his mouth curling into a meaningful smile. I stood up, picking up my briefcase, ready to leave. Leaving so soon? Wang Hao suddenly blocked my path. "Yaya specifically asked me to keep you here." Our eyes met, the air thick with tension ready to ignite. "Wang Hao," I said calmly, "do you realize how ridiculous your situation is?" He raised an eyebrow. "Oh, please enlighten me." "You're nothing more than Chun Ya's secret lover, a nameless substitute." I sneered. 8 years. Has she ever made you any promises? Besides your affair, can you appear together in public? She can buy you a private jet, but she dares not give you a legal status. You think you've won? You're just a dog she keeps, a mistress who can never see the light of day, hiding in the shadows and licking up the scraps she throws you. Wang Hao's face instantly turned pale, the coffee cup trembling slightly in his hand. You're talking nonsense." His voice rose by several octaves. "Yaya loves me. She's just waiting for the right time. Who do you think you are? Nothing but a live-in son-in-law, a mere tool." He waved his arms excitedly, spilling coffee all over the floor. Realizing his loss of composure, he suddenly seemed to become aware of something, his expression quickly turning to one of pain as he dramatically fell backwards. My back," he cried out as he lay on the ground, writhing in pain, putting on an even more exaggerated performance than before. "Lin Yuan, you deliberately provoked me, causing my back injury to flaw. Re-up. Yaya will be heartbroken when she finds out." Just then, the living room door opened, and Chunya hurried in, carrying a bag from the pharmacy. Seeing Wang Hao on the floor, she immediately dropped everything and knelt beside him. "What's wrong? Is it your back again?" Then she suddenly turned to me, her eyes burning with fury. "What did you do to him?" Without waiting for my answer, she had already rushed in front of me, raising her hand to deliver a slap across my face. I instinctively grabbed her wrist, feeling that she used all her strength. "How dare you stop me?" Chunya said through gritted teeth. "I just don't want to be beaten for no reason." I released her hand, speaking calmly. "No reason." She let out a cold laugh. "How could Wang Hao suddenly have an attack if he was fine? You must have said or done something. Apologize to him right now." She tried to pull me in front of Wang Hao. I broke free from her hand, using a bit too much force, causing Chunya to step back a few paces. "You dare push me?" She stared at me in disbelief. "Ms. Chun," I pointed at the camera on the ceiling. "That thing should be working, right? Why don't we check the footage to see who's acting?" Hearing this, Wang Hao's expression clearly panicked for a moment, before quickly returning to a pained look. "Yeah, I need to go to the hospital." "Don't talk, save your strength." Chunya immediately returned to his side, gently helping him up. "I'll take you to the hospital right away." Before leaving, she turned back and said coldly, "Lin Yuan, you will pay for your actions today." As the elevator doors closed, I was left alone in the vast penthouse apartment with only coffee stains on the floor. I glanced at my watch, 10:25. Today's divorce plan had clearly fallen through. At 10:40, I gave up waiting any longer. Today's divorce plan had fallen through, but I decided not to waste any more time. Walking into the master bedroom, I pulled out my suitcase and began packing my personal belongings. As clothes, books, and design drafts were sorted into the suitcase one by one, a cruel reality emerged. After 8 years of marriage, my presence in this home was surprisingly faint. How ironic, I muttered to myself. I've lived here so long, yet I'm like a passing guest. While organizing the walk-in closet, I discovered a corner that had been deliberately forgotten. It was filled with gifts I had given Chunya over the years, most of them still in their unopened packaging. A velvet jewelry box rolled off the shelf. I picked it up, gently wiped off the surface dust, and opened it. I was stunned. Inside was a jade brooch, uniquely designed with small diamonds set around the edges. The packaging was intact, with the protective film still covering the gemstone's surface. My mind went blank. This brooch was a gift I had given to Chunya on our first anniversary. At time, I had just completed my first major design project and used all of my bonus to buy this piece of jewelry she had once admired in a magazine. However, over the past 8 years, Chunya had worn an almost identical jade brooch at every important occasion. If she had never opened the one I gave her, whose gift was she wearing? I see now. I smiled bitterly, shaking my head. It's not the gift itself that matters, but who gives it. The brooch I gave wasn't even worth unwrapping to her, while the same style from someone else was treasured and worn constantly. For these 8 years, who has truly occupied her heart? I put the jewelry box in my suitcase, not out of attachment, but to constantly remind me of the truth about this marriage. Half an hour later, all my belongings were packed into the car. 8 years of marriage, and it only took one trip to move everything. Driving across half the city, I arrived at my pre-marriage apartment. As I opened the door, a faint scent of air freshener greeted me. The previous tenant had left the house spotless, but after a month of vacancy, a thin layer of dust had settled. What a coincidence, I looked around. It's just become available in time for my return. This small apartment, in a prime location with reasonable rent, had miraculously been vacant for a month, as if destined to welcome my return. After a quick cleanup, I opened my computer to handle work emails. A new message immediately popped up. Hello, Designer Lin. I'm Li Ming, a headhunter consultant. The innovation department at Zhang Architecture greatly admires your work. Their head, Zhang Mingyue, would like to meet with you to discuss potential collaboration. If convenient, could we arrange a meeting? I stared at the screen, my thoughts gradually becoming clear. Zhang Mingyue was my senior from university, now a rising star designer in the industry. Just as I was about to reply, my phone rang. The caller ID showed a number both familiar and strange. Lin Yuan, long time no see. Zhang Mingyue's clear voice came through the phone. I heard you're considering new career directions recently. Senior Mingyue? I was somewhat surprised. The headhunter just contacted me. She chuckled softly. I couldn't wait. Your ecological architectural design concept is exactly what our new project needs. Why not come to the company tomorrow for a chat? I'll show you around personally. Her tone carried genuine appreciation and respect, something I had never felt from Chunya. Sure. Is 10 a.m. tomorrow okay? Perfect. She paused, her voice softening. Lin Yuan, I've always followed your work. Your talent deserves a better stage. After hanging up, I stood by the window, watching the sunset cast over the city's silhouette. Zhang Mingyue's words echoed in my mind, bringing a long-lost sense of being valued. Tomorrow, what kind of encounter would it be? My story with Chunya began with an accidental meeting. In college, she was the kind of person who carried her own spotlight wherever she went. Not just because of her stunning appearance, but also because she was the precious daughter of the Chin family. Every time she appeared on campus, she would attract countless envious glances. I was once one of those who secretly gazed at her. Hey, Lin Yuan, you stare at Chunya every day. Why don't you pursue her? My roommate often teased me. A wealthy heiress like her will definitely have her future arranged by her family after graduation. If you don't make a move now, you won't even have a chance later. I just smiled. Love isn't a game, and a beginning without an outcome only brings unnecessary pain. I was very clear about my position. Although my family background was decent, compared to business giants like the Chin family, it was worlds apart. Why subject myself to humiliation? But fate seems to enjoy playing jokes on rationality. That evening, I studied late in the library. On my way back to the dormitory, passing by a secluded lakeside, I heard a cry for help. In the dim streetlight, I saw a girl being harassed by 2 men on the lakeside boardwalk. Upon closer look, it was Chunya. Give me back my design. That's my graduation project. Her voice was filled with anger and fear. No money, no drawings. One of the men waved the tube containing the designs. We know you're the Chun family's young lady. 1 million isn't too much, right? I initially wanted to quietly call the police, but when I saw one of them push Chunya, nearly causing her to fall into the lake, I rushed over. Stop. What happened next was chaotic. Arguments, shoving, and fistfights. In the end, I was stabbed, but successfully protected Chunya's design. When I woke up, I was in a hospital room, with Chunya sitting beside the bed, her eyes red and swollen. Thank you, she said softly. That design was my entry for an international competition. If I had lost it, it would have been over. It was nothing, I smiled. Anyone would have done the same. No, not everyone would take a knife for a stranger. From then on, she began to appear frequently in my life. We visited architecture exhibitions together, discussed design concepts, and shared our dreams. Our relationship gradually warmed, and every day I found myself grateful for that fate-changing night. Until that rainy night, at 2 in the morning, when my phone suddenly rang. Lin Yuan, can you come over? Her voice was choked. Half an hour later, I appeared at her apartment door, my clothes soaked through by the rain. She had already drunk quite a bit, her eye makeup smudged, looking unusually fragile. My family has arranged a marriage for me. She leaned on the sofa, her voice drifting. They say my design dreams are unrealistic, that I should manage the company's technical department, and then marry someone suitable. I listened quietly, not knowing how to comfort her. In the sound of rain hitting the windows, her profile looked especially soft in the dim light. Lin Yuan. She suddenly looked directly into my eyes. Do you have a girlfriend? I shook my head. Then let's be together. Her eyes flashed with determination. I want to take control of my own life. Okay, I answered almost instinctively. And so, we began our romantic relationship. It was also at this time that I truly realized the gap between us. Shin Technology was a tech giant worth hundreds of billions, while my family's construction company had an annual revenue of just $1 million. Simply put, she stood at the top of the wealth pyramid, while I had just climbed onto the first step at the bottom. The enormous gap with the Chen family inevitably made me feel inferior. On the business landscape, Chen Technology was a behemoth, while my family's small design firm didn't even amount to a fraction of them. If the Chun family wanted to, they could bankrupt us with just the budget for one of their projects. When I excitedly announced my relationship with Chunya to my family, I was met with silence, followed by a long sigh from my father. Yuan, you're too naive, he said, putting down his coffee. Do you know what the Chun family means in this city? I stubbornly believed that love could overcome all obstacles, until my mother brought out a manila envelope from the study. You should look at these things, she said softly, before deciding whether to continue this relationship. Inside the envelope were several newspaper clippings and some photographs. In the photos, Chunya was intimately close with a handsome young man. The documents showed that this young man, named Wang Hao, was an outstanding student sponsored by Chun Tech for many years and is now a key technical staff member at the company. He and Chunya had maintained a 5-year romantic relationship from high school through university. It was because of this boy that Chunya almost cut ties with her family, my father said, pointing at the photo. Look at him, then look in the mirror. How many similarities do you see in your profiles and demeanor? Mother held my hand. Child, it's not that we don't support you dating. But how could a prestigious family like the Chens accept an ordinary family like ours? Are you sure Chunya isn't looking for that person's shadow in you? Love makes people lose their rationality. My parents' words were like punching a pillow, eliciting no response. The next day, I went directly to confront Chunya. I laid out all the photos and information in front of her, waiting for her explanation. She didn't panic, nor did she deny anything. Wang Hao was indeed my boyfriend, she said calmly, her fingers lightly brushing over the photos. But that's in the past now. We broke up a long time ago. She told me that her conflict with her family wasn't entirely because of Wang Hao, but more because she was unwilling to run the business according to her family's expectations, insisting instead on pursuing her dream of design. My relationship with my family has always been a bit tense, but it's not as bad as you imagine. She smiled at me. Now, you're the only one in my life, Lin Yuan. The past is behind us. Her explanation sounded so reasonable, her gaze so sincere. I chose to believe every word she said. I even believed it for a full 8 years. Until today, when I discovered that unopened corsage in her closet, I finally saw the truth of this love. Chinya's message arrived belatedly, a week after I had moved out. I've invited some friends over for a gathering tonight. Prepare a few dishes, make sure to include seafood, but don't use ginger. Wang Hao doesn't like that flavor. After reading the message, I turned off my phone and continued to focus on the design drawings in front of me. Since moving out of the penthouse that day, I had returned to live in my small pre-marriage apartment. Since Chunya was unwilling to cooperate with the divorce, I could only pursue the path of separation litigation. A week had passed before she seemed to realize I had really left. Or rather, she just needed a cook to serve her and Wang Hao. Perhaps she hadn't even returned to that so-called home at all. It doesn't matter anymore. This week of living alone has been unexpectedly comfortable. My sleep quality has noticeably improved, my mental state feels renewed, and my work efficiency has reached an unprecedented level. After completing the design proposal at hand, I discovered that my colleagues had already arranged a celebration dinner for the evening. In the past, I always made excuses to avoid such social activities, but now, I need some changes. Manager Lin actually wants to join us. Young designer Xiao Li looked incredulous. I nodded with a smile. Tonight is my treat. Everyone enjoy yourselves. After a round of cheers, colleagues excitedly discussed the evening's destination, deciding to upgrade the originally planned hot pot to a seafood feast, with KTV arranged for after dinner. Throughout the entire dinner, my phone kept vibrating, displaying Chunya's missed calls and unread messages. I directly switched my phone to silent mode, fully immersing myself in the gathering with colleagues. When we arrived at the KTV lobby, I unexpectedly encountered a familiar face, Zhang Mingwei, the client representative for our recent project, who was also my senior from university. Lin Yuan? What a coincidence. She looked at me in surprise. It's rare to see you at this kind of event. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, the waiter guided us to our respective reserved rooms. As we passed by one of the rooms, a familiar voice came through the half-open door, Kelsey, ing me to involuntarily slow my pace. Yeah. To be honest, that Lin Yuan guy is just too ungrateful. What does his family's little background amount to compared to the Chen family? He even dares to give you attitude. Who does he think he is? So what if you've been married for 8 years? He has no class at all, always suspicious of everything. Is that what you call a man? If it weren't for your parents insisting on breaking you and Wang Hao up back then, how would it have been his turn? He really thinks he's the main character. Yeah. If Lin Yuan wasn't an obstacle, would you get back together with Wang Hao? This was the voice of Chun Ya's best friend, Lu Feng. She had always been outspoken, and I had become numb to such talk. Chun Ya's answer followed without hesitation. Of course I would. I was about to leave when I suddenly realized the atmosphere around had become extremely awkward. My colleagues and Zhang Mingyue's team all displayed expressions of surprise and gossip. My colleagues quickly lowered their heads, pretending they hadn't heard anything, but clearly, storms were raging in their minds. The person in the private room was CEO Chun of Chin Technology, who turned out to be Lin Yuan's wife, and they had been married for 8 years. This completely overturned their understanding. After all, who in the company didn't consider Chinya and Wang Hao a couple? What shocked them even more was that I had been silently enduring this situation all along. Zhang Mingyue suddenly laughed. Oh my, Junior, how did I never notice in college that you were so tolerant? I could only smile bitterly. Just about to get divorced. Senior, laugh if you want. After you're done laughing, I hope we can have more opportunities to collaborate. Divorce? That's great. Zhang Mingyue laughed even more brightly, even starting to applaud. Just then, the door of the private room was suddenly pulled open. Chinya walked out, first giving Zhang Mingyue a cold glare, then turning her gaze to me with furrowed brows. Before she could speak, Zhang Mingyue said nonchalantly, Designer Lin, a change in work environment might be a good choice for you. Remember to consider our company's invitation. This comment immediately ignited Chun Ya's anger. Zhang Mingyue, have you no shame? Poaching people right in front of me. Oh, Zhang Mingyue stopped, turned to face Chun Ya, her tone full of sarcasm. Compared to certain people having affairs behind their husband's back, what I'm doing is nothing. At least I'm being open and honest about it. You. Chun Ya's face turned ashen with rage. Wang Hao quickly held back Chun Ya, who was about to lunge forward, and said righteously, Ms. Zhang, your words are too much. Is this the corporate culture of Zhang Corporation? Huh, Zhang Mingyue sneered disdainfully. Who are you to comment on our company? With that, she left with her team, not sparing one. Ji Hao another glance. I breathed a sigh of relief, grateful that no physical confrontation had occurred. Just as I was about to leave, Wang Hao blocked my path and demanded, Brother Lin, aren't you being too harsh? It's one thing not to answer Yaya's calls, but now you won't even speak up for her. I raised an eyebrow at him. Director Chen called asking me to cook for you. You're a grown man. Can't you cook for yourself? Also, Director Zhang is our important business partner. Are you trying to create hostility between Chun Corporation and Zhang Corporation? Nobody benefits from that except you, who seems pleased about it. Finally, Director Chun has suffered such humiliation. Shouldn't you hurry and take her to the hotel upstairs to properly comfort her? Everyone was stunned, not expecting me to say such things. Chinya stared at me in disbelief, while a flash of satisfaction crossed Wang Hao's eyes. He immediately assumed a moral posture. Lin Yuan, you've gone too far. Apologize to Yaya right now. I gave him a cold glance and raised my voice. She cheated on you, and I have to apologize? Lower your voice. Is this something to be proud of? Making a scene in front of our business partners. You two have no shame, but Chen Corporation's employees still have some dignity. Each of my words pierced Chun Ya's nerves like needles. She rushed forward to slap me, but I nimbly dodged it. Missing the slap, Chun Ya exploded in anger. Divorce. Lin Yuan, let's get divorced tomorrow. I deliberately spoke loudly because I noticed many people in the hall had already taken out their phones and started recording. I sneered. Then please don't be late tomorrow, Miss Chun. Rest assured, once we get the divorce certificate, I won't interfere with your affair anymore. I laughed, and Wang Hao beside me laughed too. Indeed, we both got what we wanted. How could we not be happy? As I left with my colleagues, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief, as if the shackles of many years had finally been removed. The next morning, Chenya and I unexpectedly met at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. She was wearing an exquisitely tailored suit with impeccable makeup, as if attending a business meeting rather than finalizing a divorce. We tacitly maintained our distance, each taking a number, waiting, and submitting documents. The entire process was quiet and efficient. When the clerk placed 2 divorce certificates on the counter, I picked up one of them, my fingertip lightly tracing over the embossed seal. 8 years of marriage, just like that, came to an end. Chunya observed my expression, a hint of mockery appearing at the corner of her mouth. What's wrong, Lin Yuan? Having regrets now? No, I responded calmly. I'm just thinking about how quickly time has passed. Humph, she adjusted her hand back, her tone icy. Since you're so eager to end our relationship, there's no nay. D for you to continue your position at Chin Corporation either. I nodded. That was my intention as well. She seemed surprised by my calmness, but quickly regained her haughty demeanor, turning to leave, her high heels clicking sharply on the marble floor. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, I drove directly to the company to handle the resignation procedures. The HR department had already been notified, classifying my departure as company dismissal rather than personal resignation. Fortunately, no matter how powerful the Chun Corporation was, they wouldn't dare to openly violate labor laws. All due compensation and documentation were provided in full. After packing up my personal belongings from the office desk, I prepared to leave this place where I had worked for 6 years. Several close colleagues quietly gathered around. Brother Lin, if you need any help in the future, just say the word, the young Wong from the design department said in a low voice. We're all supporting you. That's right, Brother Lin, don't lose touch. Another colleague patted my shoulder. Your talent shouldn't be wasted. I nodded gratefully, shaking hands with each of them as I said goodbye. Just as I walked out of the building, my phone started vibrating. Brother Lin, the KTV incident from last night has been posted online. It's already trending. I opened social media and indeed saw the related topic. Although the video had been blurred, the situation and dialogue were still clearly distinguishable. High society marriage scandal. Confrontation between wife and mistress in public. Are mistresses so brazen these days? Daring to make a scene in public? Sympathize with this designer. His wife cheats, and he's humiliated in front of business partners. Though faces are blurred, what's so special about this mistress? She's inferior to the wife in both looks and demeanor. While browsing the comments, the page suddenly displayed, content has been deleted. Evidently, the Chun family's PR team had already sprung into action. Putting down my phone, I drove back to my small apartment. Just as I set down my luggage, a new message popped up. Zhang Minghua, have you considered joining our team? I smiled as I replied. Of course, when can we have a formal interview? She quickly responded. I'll be back from the Milan project next Wednesday. We can talk in person then. Have your latest portfolio ready. Looking at this message, I felt a long-lost sense of ease and anticipation. Perhaps an ending is also another kind of beginning. Failure in love doesn't mean failure in life. On the contrary, it might be an opportunity for me to regain freedom and restart my career. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. I thought joining Zhang's company would just be a change of environment to continue as a designer. But Zhang Minghua gave me an unexpected surprise, the position of design director. His title brought not only a salary increase, but also a doubling of responsibilities. After starting the job, my desk was piled high with various project files, and my schedule was packed tight. From morning to night, I was spinning like a top, but this sense of fulfillment gave me unprecedented satisfaction. During this time, colleagues from my former company would occasionally send messages, telling me about Chunya's new policies. Apparently, after I left, she gave my position to Wang Hao, causing chaos in the entire design department. Although I heard these rumors from time to time, since we had already parted ways, all I could do was offer some comfort and advice to my former colleagues. On Friday evening, I managed to leave work early for once. This was the first time since joining Zhang's company that I could leave the office before 9 p.m. Usually, I would work until close to midnight. Strolling through the city's night, the lights from street-side restaurants were warm and inviting, with the aroma of various cuisines intermingling in the air. My stomach growled in protest, reminding me it was time to eat. Just as I was about to enter a creative cuisine restaurant, a familiar voice called out, Director Lin, over here. Turning my head, I saw several core designers from my former company, Ma Tao, Su Chun, and Li Ming, sitting around a table and waving at me. After joining them, I immediately noticed the expressions of fatigue and resignation on their faces. Is the green building project not going well? I asked with concern. Ma Tao poured me a glass of wine, raising his glass with a bitter smile. Director Lin, whether that project goes well or not is no longer our concern. Come, let's toast to new beginnings. After downing a glass of wine, I felt somewhat confused. Had they been reassigned from the project? But judging by their expressions, it seemed the situation was more complicated than that. What exactly happened? Did something go wrong with the part one was previously responsible for? Su Chin shook his head and sighed. Director Lin, it's not about the project. The three of us have been optimized. So no matter how important that project is, it's no longer connected to us. You know, Brother Ma just bought a house, and the monthly mortgage payments are quite a burden. The three of them drank and complained, describing the various changes that had occurred after I left Chin Corporation. After hearing their account, I couldn't help but shake my head privately. The four of us were the founders of the Green Building Project, and the entire design concept was built collaboratively by us. Although two more designers later joined to help refine it, the core framework remained unchanged. For an important project to lay off half of its core team members was truly baffling. Don't laugh, Director Lin. Zhang and Little Wang are still suffering terribly, Li Ming said in a low voice. It's both mental and physical torture. Little Wang's hair has even started turning white this month. I doubt those two can hold on much longer. Who knows, they might destroy all the design drawings and run away any day now. Just as we were talking, Ma Tao's phone rang. After quickly replying to a few messages, he held up his phone and waved it in front of us. Speak of the devil, here they come now. 20 minutes later, Zhang and Xiao Wang appeared at the restaurant entrance. The five of us exchanged knowing smiles, our eyes full of mutual understanding. After the two sat down, Ma Tao joked, "What's this? Did they decide to lay you off too?" Xiao Wang shook his head with a bitter smile. No. It's even more absurd than layoffs. That Wang Hao, who doesn't even understand basic design principles, wants me and Zhang to completely scrap our entire previous design plan and start from scratch to create a brand new one. This is absolutely ridiculous. Initially, it took 6 of us leading the project, plus over 20 designers from the whole department, a full 6 months just to complete the preliminary plan. Now, with one word from him, he wants just me and Zhang to be responsible for creating an even better design in just 3 months. I nearly smashed the model in his face right then and there. I was pushed to my absolute limit. Chen gave him a promotion, and now he really thinks he's some kind of design master. His arrogance is beyond reason. Xiao Wang suddenly stopped, glancing at me awkwardly. I smiled to show understanding, then asked, "So what are your plans going forward?" At the mention of the future, all 5 people fell silent. 3 had been laid off, 2 were planning to resign. As professional designers at their age, finding new jobs would indeed present significant challenges. Actually, I'm in charge of a new project at Zhang Corporation related to green building concepts, and we need experienced designers, I said casually. Would any of you be interested? As soon as I finished speaking, all 5 pairs of eyes lit up, and they almost unanimously expressed their willingness to join. This was an unexpected stroke of luck. Zhang Corporation's new project happened to be competing directly with Chun Corporation's green building design. I had been worrying about assembling a team these past few days, never expecting that the ideal candidates would present themselves. Sometimes, the arrangements of fate are truly remarkable. Without deliberate scheming, everything naturally falls into place at the right moment. After Ma Tao and his 4 colleagues joined Zhang Corporation, the ecological building project progressed with remarkable speed. With their years of professional experience, the team quickly identified key breakthrough points in the design. Empowered by their expertise, the project completed its initial draft of full mod. Ahead of schedule. Another 3 months passed. Late this night, after handling the last document, I glanced at the time. It was already 11:30 p.m. Dragging my tired body back to the apartment, I rubbed my sore shoulders as the elevator doors opened. Just as I reached my doorstep, I saw a familiar figure leaning against the wall, waiting. It was Chinya. After 6 months apart, she had changed a lot. Once radiant, she now looked haggard, with obvious dark circles under her eyes, and had lost a noticeable amount of weight. Seeing me appear, a flicker of joy flashed in her eyes as she took a few steps towards me. I stood still, my face filled with impatience. Her footsteps halted midway, her expression somewhat awkward as she struggled to speak. "Lin Yuan, long time no see. What brings CEO Chun here so late at night?" I asked coldly. Faced with my distant attitude, her eyes welled up with tears. Her gaze shifted between me and the front door as her voice softened, taking on a pleading tone. "Can I come in for a bit? Just for a few minutes." Once, this tone would have been enough to soften my heart. But now, coming home late at night only to be confronted by my ex-wife at the door, I felt nothing but irritation. Although Zhang Corp and Chin Corp are partners, the project I'm responsible for is in direct competition with your department, Ms. Chun. A meeting at this hour would be inappropriate. Hearing my business-like tone, Chinya could no longer hold back her tears. She took a deep breath, her voice slightly trembling. "I'm not here for work. I want to talk about us." I had no interest in reminiscing with Chinya. Those memories only left a bitter taste for me. As competitors, we have nothing to discuss. As for us, that no longer exists and doesn't need to be discussed. Please leave. I directly dismissed her, pointing towards the elevator. Chinya could no longer control her emotions, tears sliding down her cheeks. She looked up at me, seemingly trying to find a trace of softening in my face. But she was disappointed. If you don't leave, I'll have to call security. Chunya suddenly stepped forward, tightly grasping my wrist. Have you become so cold? You weren't like this before. In just half a year, have you completely forgotten about me? Have you forgotten that you once said you would always be by my side, never leave me? Her current appearance reminded me of the girl who had sought my help on that rainy night years ago, fragile, helpless, evoking sympathy. But I just looked at her calmly and said softly, "We've been divorced for a long time. Then let's remarry." Her words shocked me, and I instinctively wanted to step back, but she held my hand tightly, pressing it against her chest. After you left, I was in pain every day. I sent you so many messages and made so many calls, but you never responded once. I know I was wrong. Can you give me another chance? Lin Yuan, will you look at me one more time? Wang Hao won't come between us anymore. He's been sent away. She stared at me intently, her face tear-stained, yet full of hope. Sent away? At the mention of Wang Hao, a flash of embarrassment crossed Chinya's face. She bit her lip and explained. His poor decisions led to the company losing over 400 million for 2 consecutive quarters, and also, I was secretly surprised, realizing there was more to the story. And Chinya took a deep breath before continuing. He also leaked the company's core design plans, violated intellectual property rights, and misappropriated project funds. Hearing all this, I couldn't help but feel shocked. A series of serious accusations. Perhaps because I had already moved on emotionally, hearing about the major crisis at a rival company, I unexpectedly felt a hint of schadenfreude and accidentally laughed out loud. Hearing my laughter, Chinya lowered her head. Chairman Chen has such a unique perspective. But don't worry, the Chen family won't abandon you. After all, you're their only heir. Faced with my sarcasm, Chinya only pleaded softly. Lin Yuan, can we start over? I promise those things won't happen again. I pulled my hand away and looked directly into her eyes. Is it because I'm more valuable to Chen Corporation now, right? No. Lin Yuan, I sincerely want to start over with you. I've always loved you. Just then, the elevator door suddenly opened, and Zhang Minghua walked out. Her gaze lingered on Chunya for a moment. Then she walked to my side, naturally linking her arm with mine, her tone clearly mocking. Chairman Chun likes waiting outside other people's doors late at night, but our Zhang Corporation's chief designer isn't someone you can poach with a few sweet words. Chinya looked in disbelief at Zhang Minghua linking arms with me, while I showed no signs of discomfort. Chief designer? Isn't Lin Yuan a deputy director? You too. That's right, it's exactly what you're thinking. Zhang Minghua interrupted her, turning to look at me. At tonight's celebration party, you said you'd come down after getting a design draft, but I waited for a long time and didn't see you, so I had to come up to find you myself. Did I interrupt your reunion? I smiled at Zhang Minghua. Not at all, we're leaving now. She held onto my arm as we walked into the elevator, leaving Chunya standing alone in the hallway. In the last glance, I saw Chunya's face turn pale, her lips tightly bitten, tears continuously falling, unable to utter a word. As we walked out of the apartment building, Zhang Minghua and I naturally distanced ourselves. She raised an eyebrow and looked at me, and I quickly said, "Thank you for showing up in time, President Zhang. Let's go to the celebration party." I was a bit confused, but still followed her steps. Walking to the car, I opened the door for her. She turned, and our eyes met. Tonight's celebration party is prepared for Team A. I nodded in understanding. As for your official appointment as chief designer, it will be announced at next Monday's general meeting. I looked at Zhang Minghua in surprise, and she continued. Besides the promotion, there's one more thing. I need you to be my temporary boyfriend at next week's industry summit. Are you willing? At that moment, my thoughts short-circuited for a few seconds.